You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Okay, welcome to the Village of Walters Falls monthly meeting, the mayor and the board of trustees. Today's Wednesday, April 9th. Will you please stand for the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do we have any recognition, announcements, or special events?
We have an Easter egg hunt on April 19th. I think, 1:30? 1:30 Mizzier Park. That's all I got.
Okay, roll call. Mayor Huber,
Present.
Trustee McCormick, Trustee Shemento,
Here.
Trustee Marsh, Trustee Marshall, Trustee Vanka,
Here.
Trustee Smith,
Here.
Village Attorney Lindars.
Here.
Action on minutes. Regular village board meeting, March 12th.
Get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Second monthly meeting, March 26th.
Get a motion?
I'll make that motion too.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I need a motion to open up the tentative budget hearing.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Here's
It's open. Read it out. Waiting on you.
Oh, you are? Oh, well, thank you.
Are there any questions about the,
Yeah. So does anybody have any questions about the tentative budget that the board take into consideration?
Charles Scott, 20 Park Street. I just wonder why the water fund, garbage fund, and sewer fund are not included in the budget. That's the other municipal budgets, those things are included in the tentative budget. And we really need them to get a clear picture of what's going on with the village funds.
May I address that, Mayor?
Yes.
So because they're funds, they don't have to be included in the general tentative budget. However, we just met with the water board on Monday, and we have put together a tentative budget. Now, based upon the water budget, we can put the sewer budget together to determine the revenues. So they should be done midweek with the final revenues. We have, well, the mayor is going to tell you, our next meeting is going to be the 16th.
April 16th at 6.
And that's when all three funds will be with this one. So the tentative has to have a public hearing, and it has to be by the April 10th, and that's why we had it today, April 9th.
Okay, so that'll be included.
Yeah, I'll actually have them.
The rest of you online as well. Also, the other thing that's not included in the budget, I mentioned it's not going to be, is the schedule of salary. It hasn't been included in the budget in 2 years.
I'd like to put that back in there.
It was in the tentative last year, so I can do that. If you want to copy.
Yeah, I need to see that back in.
And so a couple of things. One thing I don't see in the budget, it's hard to tell what's in the tentative budget because it's not really broken down. But what I would like to see in the tentative budget as a taxpayer is the money for an independent audit of the village financial records. That's something that the state controller said they wanted. It's been a number of years now that it hasn't been done. It's supposed to be done. I had asked last year that money be put in the account, but it wasn't. But we need to have an order of the records for public trust and for everybody to know what's going on.
Yep.
Charlie,
So just to answer that, if I may, Mayor, there is money in there for that. I'll give you the line right now, 13, this, I gotta find the line, I'll find it for you in a
That's
minute.
okay.
Listen, do you remember last year when I asked for audit?
I know that some,
So let me answer that. I spoke with both the deputy controller and the controller. We are, I don't know where you stand with us with our AFRs. So our 2020 was the last one filed when I got here. 2021 was filed and closed and accepted. 2022 has been filed and has gone back and forth between our rep from the controller's office 3 times to make adjustments because they were from so many treasurers being there. If you'd like to see it, I have a draft copy, but it really isn't gonna help you until they accept it and close it. Once they close it, we do 2023, which 2023 will be a little hectic because once again, they changed Edmonds and Harris in that fiscal year. But, so just so you know, they have advised us because they left here in 2022, 2023 from their audit they did, that we can bring our orders in once we catch up on our AFRs. And then this way they can audit all the years. Because if they come in now, they can only audit up to a certain point because of our systems.
I
We
think
have
it is a
40,000.
friendly order that should be voted. See, because I just don't understand. I understand those past years weren't done, but is it that we don't know how much money we spent last year, this year? So we gotta wait, before we know how much money we spent this budget year, we have to wait for 3 budget years to catch up? Isn't there any document in the village, well, there's something I got tonight which shows the budgeted to actual funds, but where are those records? It was just because they weren't done 2 years ago, we gotta wait forever. Yeah, we just put up 1 year, but now we're behind you. So I would suggest putting money in the budget to bring in a financial firm and get these records up to date
It's in there.
and get things, up and running the right way. We can't keep going backwards like this, we're getting nowhere. Nobody knows where our tax dollars are being spent. And, we need to get this information, it depends on the AFR. There has to be village records aside from the AFR.
Well, we can look, we'll look into getting a public audit, or an audit in.
Well, the only thing I'm gonna ask for is an audit this year, because we need an audit. Yeah.
That's what he's talking
just.
That's what he's
I
talking about, Bob.
understand. Last year I asked for it and got voted down. This year I'm asking again for it, so hopefully we'll be able to get it.
Well, you're the board, so if that's what you want to do, you can vote on it, and then you can speak to Linda, who I spoke to this week, and she'll tell you what she's gonna tell you, so that's fine. But there's $48,000, I believe, I just got to find the line without my glasses, that was budgeted in there for it.
So, when the parks commission, and we never asked what park project we need funding. And so I think we're underfunded in the budget for that, because it's not just adding in Devonport, we have fences that are dangerous, and sent the report to the board that the parks we need to put together. You have a fence down there in Temple Field, which is collapsed, it's dangerous, and it's dangerous. Just work needs to be done, so if you can look at that line and give us some money to get some things done for the park. I know when I was out campaigning, that was an issue people had.
Yeah,
We can bring the kids to the parks and there's things that have been damaged and it's not fixed. And I'm just talking about making it safe and usable.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Jennifer Business, 3 Carmine Drive. The recreation line for camp personal services seems to have doubled. Can you just go over what camp personal services is? Sure.
So, I think, Jennifer, you were a trustee at the time when they brought the camp back after COVID's hiatus. So it really wasn't a funded line. So when we brought that camp, I think Charlie was a part of this too, with the rec fees, they voted to bring them in. And that is exactly pretty much what it cost us this year for personal services for camp. So at some point, if we're gonna continue, which is fine, we need to establish a budget line for it, otherwise we can't keep funding it ourselves.
So is it correct to say that the 16,000 that you have as revenue was what was made last year?
Yes,
So do you have an exact number of how much money we lost in camp last year?
we'll take that from basically, I'm gonna show you, but
I get to ask you that question anyway.
yeah, so I'm gonna give it to you because I actually have a budget to actual as of April 6th, and then I can't really see too well, you know, my glasses, but you know, this is the budget to actual, you can take it home, this goes up to April 6th, you'll see what the lines show.
Now, the next question I would ask is, how many kids were in the camp last year?
That's a good question.
And were they village resident kids, or were they town of Poughkeepsie, town of Wappingers? Is there a breakdown after that?
I think we have to deflect to the director. She has copious notes on that. When she would give us deposits, she would have names and addresses and break them down. John Tillishak, I know, was going to reach out to her not 2 months ago because we needed to establish a budget, but I based the budget based upon what's expenditure. There is another thing in the rec budget, if you want to look, I've increased the amount of cost for that, and that was basically for bringing in maybe the jump house, or I'm not very knowledgeable what they're bringing, but I know we paid jump houses, science people, just things for the kids, probably about 4 or 5 times that expenses. So I've had to increase that line as well.
Well, like, not that I'm against having camp for kids, I'm just saying, if we're losing this much money, and my first question would be, is it on village kids? Because it's one thing to lose money.
The majority of them are village kids.
Yeah, there were only a few towns.
I'd like to know exactly
Yeah.
what the breakdown.
I'll reach out and get a breakdown for you.
Or maybe you might want to consider the rates going up as opposed to what the other towns and villages are paying.
What do they charge? I don't know.
90,
It was 100, it was a pretty round, it was like $100.
but this 37, what about the money that came in? Did that offset it?
Yeah, that's what Jennifer was asking. So 16,000 you show as your revenue. I did give you budget to actual. This is $16,000 that came in, and the cost is $37,000. Plus the additional line under that.
I don't understand how you're gonna raise this on the poor kids and,
Listen, I'm just saying,
That's why I'm budgeting for it.
yeah.
what's the ratio of village kids to town kids, to town of Poughkeepsie kids? That's just a question I would ask. And what are the other camps, charging?
The town's less than us. Yeah, the town's less than us, and they have more, they give more for their kids than we can give for, activities and stuff. I'm gonna say the ratio probably is 95 or more % our kids. Very few come out of the
And
town.
how many kids did camp last year?
I wanna say around 30, but don't quote me, or more. It's under 40, but it's definitely more than 25.
The town.
So if you add up everything that's going on here, it's costing us about $800 to send each kid to camp.
Yep. The one thing though, since you didn't have it for a couple of years, startup stuff, like we had to buy new picnic tables and some new equipment. So I think last year and the year before that raised the cost.
Well, it looks like this year it's even going higher.
Yeah, I don't see what this camp equipment is for $5,500. I don't know what that would be. Is that for the activities and stuff?
That's for, everything goes into control. I'm just looking right now where we've increased it.
'Cause there's-
55 is for the camp equipment. So that was, like Donna said, they
We had to
had,
buy a tent too. The tent got destroyed by people borrowing it.
I believe they had a jump house
Why do
one
you-
time. They had several different things.
Yes.
So I just wanted to make sure that we were covered, otherwise we're gonna be running a deficit every year. But that's a board decision.
Anybody else?
Dominic Schimento, 22 List Road. I just had 3 questions. Is there a way to get this budget that has the lines broken down more to explain what each of these things has within it?
That's pretty much the title of what's in our software. So basically, when something comes in, what we can do is if you say, like a FOIL request or what have you, say, I'm really curious to know, I'm picking a line, right? A714410. Then what we can do is just go into the system, generate what vouchers have come out of there, what payments have come out of there, and that would tell you what's really.
So, I'm sorry, so would that be FOIL in every single line?
We can do, I can actually do what I give to the board members when we do a budget to actual, and maybe break it down a little bit more, but in order to get exactly every voucher that's come out of that, that's what we'd have to do the check register. But I would rather break it down by categories, this way you would understand it and we can.
I mean, I just think it would explain probably a lot of people's questions.
Sure.
Where it has a line here to just, for example, we just talked about, I think, the $5,500 for camp equipment.
Yeah, that's the new line that we're establishing.
But I just picked a line, to explain what that actually is and what happened to the old equipment, or are we getting new equipment, or just some sort of explanation. And I mean, it really doesn't really need a verbal explanation, just the numbers that actually spells it out is all,
Right.
you know, to break it up, so.
Basically, it would go back on the last year's voucher payment, so we could provide that. We could do a check register broken down by department.
I think that helps. I mean, I think that would help and probably answer a lot of questions people might have. The question I had actually about the budget is under the lake for contractual. I thought of the weeds were 18,500 a year, 24, 5, and 6, and then whatever maintenance is.
Yeah, it is.
So this one says 12,000.
Because it's the way the fiscal cycle falls, the third payment generally falls into the next year. That's the way it is, because we did so late last year. When did we do it?
We didn't, May till, September. Yeah.
Right, but shouldn't it, since it's a whole year, right? We pay a whole year. Shouldn't it be the 18,500?
Mayor, we discussed this. I think it was the way the payments fell. It'll be three, it'll start now, and it was budgeted for, or last year you guys did it from the Lake Reserve, is that what it was?
Lake Reserve, yeah.
Oh, they did it from Lake Reserve, so they covered it. It'll cover the first payment. And last year, we did housekeeping to cover all three of them, which will fall now in May to start the year. So it'll be a good budget, so it won't fall into next year, so there'll be two more.
Well, where, does that Lake Reserve, is that on here?
No, it was what the board voted on earlier. They voted on,
There's a lake fund and a recreation fund.
Oh, it comes out of the recreation fund?
Well, the lake doesn't come out of the recreation fund. The lake comes out of the lake fund.
And because I'm old, I don't remember my third question, but if I do, I'll stand back up.
hold your hand up.
Anybody else?
Okay, we're going to have a continuation of this hearing. We're not going to close it. Next meeting will be
April 16th at 6 PM here.
correct. Okay. Regular session. Mayor appoints Lisa Cobb of Lisa Cobb Law to be Planning Board and ZBA consultant.
We get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Who was it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Mayor, I'm sorry. Could you just explain, who Lisa Cobb is?
Lisa Cobb is the attorney for the Planning and Zoning Board.
Just,
They have their own attorney.
Okay. And what is she'll be working with the village?
She works with the village on the planning and zoning.
And
She does, basically all the, like we have in front of us.
Okay.
she's been with us for quite a few years.
Yeah.
Accept the resignation of Police Officer Justino effective today, 4/9/25.
We get a motion?
Hate to do it, but, I'll make the motion to accept it.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, knowing that we lost a good police officer.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Carried.
He was one of the best that I think I've worked with in recent years.
Shame we lost her.
Approval Hogan's Property Maintenance and Landscaping bid. Last month I went out to bid. This is for tree trimming, not landscaping. I went out to bid, and we opened the bids up, the bid up. And it's Hogan's Property Maintenance and Landscaping. He was the only bidder last year. He's the only bidder this year. And his cost actually went down from what it was last year. Tree crew consisting of one bucket truck, one wood chipper with storage truck, a tree climber, and 2 laborers are $375 an hour. Last year it was $400. Each additional laborer is $40 per hour. Stump grinder is $100 per hour. He has provided proof of insurance for $1 million personal injury, $2 million general aggregate. I would like to have a motion to accept his bid for 25-26.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Do the water tower first.
Who seconded that one?
Bob.
William T. Gardner Engine Company reported the membership voted in 2 active members, Junior Sanchez and Charles Rizzo. The membership also accepted 2 resignations, Second Lieutenant Brendan Hall and Second Lieutenant Custodian Robert Ward. The membership also voted for Jason Ensign to replace Robert Ward as the new custodian. Mr. Rizzo is here. Congratulations. Can I have a motion to accept their correspondence?
I'll make the motion.
Second? All in favor?
Who seconded?
Opposed? Carried.
Mayor, that concludes the printed section of today's agenda.
All right. Anybody from the board?
I just had something to say, if I may.
Sure, Walt.
I want to say that for his time here, I want to appreciate the service that Dave Fisher gave to the police department. I appreciate what he did. He did a great job. I'm very sorry to see that he's not here anymore. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'd like to ask a question. Sergeant Ludwig, I'm currently acting as officer in charge with Mr. Fisher's absence.
Oh, we did?
No. With the unfortunate, resignation of Officer Justino, I'm sure everybody's aware that we've been going through staffing issues and, high turnover rates, shift coverage and whatnot. With Justino gone, it puts us at another disadvantage. He was a full-time officer. He worked a day tour, 40 hours a week. So right now, trying to cover those shifts is going to be an added challenge. From my understanding, and I've spoken to the county a couple of times already on this, is that as long as we keep our officers under 1,040 hours a year, their county has no problem with us allowing them to work over 20 hours per week. Now, I'm not asking for that to be like a permanent thing, because that can put us at a disadvantage when the end of the year comes and everybody's maxed out their hours. But I would ask that if we could get permission for at least the next 3 or 4 months, to have 3 or 4 officers that are part-time to exceed that 20-hour rule, so that we can get shifts filled and have adequate coverage on all 3 shifts. Or else, it's going to be very difficult to have 2 officers per shift.
How many hours per shift would those officers be required?
Well, obviously they couldn't work 40. I'd be looking to have at least 3 guys, if they were also dealing with it, which I believe they are, to work at least 32 hours a week. And only temporarily. So we have 2 people in the academy right now that are scheduled to graduate in June. That would be 2 additional officers that fill open shifts. And then the hope would be that sometime over the next 3 or 4 months, we could probably get some additional interest and get some additional officers. It's very hard to recruit, when a lot of guys see that, it's kind of a revolving door. It's not a bad place to work, it's a great place, but, we need to do something that shows a little stability.
So I would like to reach out to Steve Rector and myself to make sure we can do something like that. I'm just covering my rear end here, and we can look at it. I just wanted to make sure because, anybody that works over 30 hours is really entitled to insurance, or, medical insurance, so. I just wanted to make sure that, we don't get ourselves bind up in something.
PDA or anything like that, I've spoken to our PDA president. I can have him attend the next meeting or reach out at some point. There would be no grievances filed in that event, for people looking for benefits or anything for somebody working over 30 hours a week. It would be under the understanding that it's a temporary thing, 3 or 4 months, just until we can get these other guys out of the academy and on the schedule, and then, hopefully have some more officers coming to work for us.
All right, I'll reach out to Steve Rector tomorrow and give him a shout. And I'll get back to you, Sergeant. All right, thank you. Anybody else?
I would just like to say, working with Officer Ludwig, Sergeant Ludwig, is a pleasure. He jumped in as an OIC once before and did a great job, and he's very responsive. I'd just like to say that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's appreciated to speak highly of Sergeant Leverett. My name is Detective Weaver. I'm representing the Waukesha Falls PBA as the Vice President. And I take consideration highly that you will speak to Mr. Rector.
I haven't lied to you yet, have I?
No, you have not. And we've been pushing for this since October. Now we're in a bind. We seriously are. And in order to provide the law enforcement service to the citizens of this village, we need that 20-hour rule suspended by you, Mr. Mayor, in order for us to do that. Our hands are tied at this point on covering these shifts, the appropriate amount of officers that we need to do that. And as I've expressed since October, that a simple event such as a domestic violence incident, a serious injury car accident, when we have one officer on the road, it takes that officer out of service to handle that particular situation. And we desperately need to try to recruit officers here to the village. Right now, to cover these shifts, we need that 20-hour rule suspended in order to cover these shifts. We definitely do.
I will reach
On
out
the
to
other
Steve
hand
Rector.
is, with Sergeant Ludwig, he's in the position as OIC. He's doing an outstanding job. And I highly recommend that this board take into consideration to keep him in that position as we go forward, until it can be researched at a different time to either hire a chief or another police commissioner. However, at this point, it would be beneficial to the village to keep Sergeant Ludwig in the position that he is right now as the highest ranking civil service employee in the village of Waukesha Falls Police Department. He's an outstanding supervisor. He knows what he's doing. I've been here for 40 years. You all know that. I've been through many sergeants, lieutenants, and commissioners in my tenure here. He's doing an outstanding job. The PBA highly supports him in his position right now, and you need to take that into consideration to keep him in that position. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
I just have a quick question. Dominic Schmetto again. Do you remember, do we need a police commissioner?
Probably a good question. It's probably a good question.
Some agencies have officers in charge.
It's probably a good question. I mean, it's something to look into civil service, see if we need one. I mean, I can't answer that
I
question.
know some agencies in the state have the officer in charge designation, and that's actually the person in charge of the
Okay.
police department.
Yep.
Just a thought, I mean.
Kelly?
So I was just gonna say, that Sergeant Ludwig is taking on that responsibility. I'm assuming he's getting some type of stipend for doing it. If not, he's-
He is.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
The officers that are coming out of the academy, are they gonna be part-time or full-time?
Part-time. Anybody else?
I have a motion to go into executive session.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.